everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. And if you are new, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am taking a look back at my book hauls from March 2021 and 2022. And I will be sharing what I've read, what I haven't read, and what is still on my radar. So we will see if I have been successful in getting my book hauls read. Spoiler, it's not as successful as I would like. Okay, so let's take a look back at March 2021. This was a massive book haul. I hauled 29 books, which is a lot. Now the good news is that when I did my book haul revisit last year in 2022, I had read 12 of the 29 books. I was also celebrating 500 subscribers at the time, and this month I am celebrating over 1,000 subscribers. So that was pretty cool. And thanks again for that, and stay tuned for my Q&A before the end of the month. The not so good news is that it left 17 books to read, and in order for me to say that I was successful, I would love to say that I've read 8 or 9 of the books. In this case, I've read one of the books. I'm not going to go through all of the books that I've already read, but I will leave links below to both the original book hauls and to the 2021 revisit. So the book that I read was Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. And I liked this book, but I didn't love it as much as I know many people do. And I have her other book, Transcendental Kingdom, also waiting on my shelf, so I hope to read that soon as well. So this means that there are still 16 books left to read from this haul, and many of them are still on my radar. There are 4 Neil Gaiman books: Anansi Boys, Neverwhere, Stardust, and American Gods. Now, I had picked up several Gaiman books at the time, and I have read a couple at this point, but I do want to read more by him, so these are still on my radar. There are 7 other books that are still on my radar from this haul, and they're still high on my TBR. So I'm going to begin with The Children's Act by Ian McEwan. I've only read one other Ian McEwan book, and I enjoyed it, and I want to read more of his work. And I saw this movie and really enjoyed it, The Children's Act, and I'm hoping that the book will be even better than the movie, which is often the case. Another book that's been one that I really want to get to is Blindness by Jose Saramago, and this is translated by Giovanni Pontiero. This book was recommended to me by someone who works at a Chapters, and the premise really grabbed me when he was telling me about it. And this is basically a pandemic of white blindness and how everyone goes blind and how people survive. And then this next book, I can't believe I haven't read this yet, and that is Love After Love by Ingrid Persaud. And I've been wanting to read this ever since it won the Costa Awards in 2020. And it still sits here on my shelf, so this is one that I would love to get to this year. Luster by Raven Leilani is another one that I still want to read. This is one that I've seen rave reviews for, and then others who didn't really care for it, and I'm interested to see where I will land on that spectrum. Next is a prequel. I read The Hate You Give and I loved it, and then I picked up Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, which is the story of Maverick. And I think that when I finally get to this, I'm really, really going to like it. I really loved the other one. Another one that I've almost picked up a couple of times, but then for whatever reason it gets put aside, and that is We Came Here to Shine, and this is by Susie, Orman, Schnall. And I love that this is about women, and it takes place at the New York's World Fair in 1939. So I love the setting, and I'm hoping to really enjoy this one. And then last but not least, another book that I've picked up a couple of times, and I still haven't read it, is Book of Wings by Tawhida Tanya Evanson, who is a Canadian author that I haven't read yet, but that I have been wanting to. So I think that this probably will get read this year. From this haul, there are 5 books that have, I'm going to say, slid down the TBR, and one of them I've even started reading and then just never got back to it, and that is Modern Times by Cathy Sweeney. This is a collection of short stories, and my mom and I had started reading it together. They were a little bit odd, and you all know my mom is not a reader, so this got put aside and we've never returned to it. And I'm positive this is now just going to be one that I will read on my own. I just have to remember that it is still on the shelf. The next book is one that I am interested in, and that is Cold New Climate by Isobel Wohl. Again, I had started this, I think, just before we moved to Alberta. And in the chaos of moving and everything, this got put aside and I never got back to it. So I'm glad that this revisit, has reminded me of these. The next 2 books were sent to me by the authors. Revolutionary Kiss by Mary Kate Summers, and the other one I forgot to grab, and it's Slay Like a Mother, How to Destroy What's Holding You Back So You Can Live the Life You Want. And that is by Katherine Wintsch. So these are 2 very different books, and I remember seeing a few reviews when they were first published, but I haven't really seen anything since, so hopefully I can get to these eventually and see what they're all about. And then the final book from this haul is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This book was given to me, and Alice Feeney is an author that I've never read before, but I would like to try. So I just need to remember this, when I'm in the mood or if I'm looking for a really good thriller. Okay, so now we will look back at March 2022's book haul. I hauled 8 books last year, and I am happy to say that I read 3 of them. So still not half, more would be great, but I will take 3. So 2 of these were poetry collections, and Whitemud Walking by Matthew James Weigel. I really enjoyed this, and just how the author used different mediums to talk about the land and treaties near Edmonton and how that land has been used or misused and the effects that it has had. And then the other book was also from a Canadian author, and that is The Book of Smaller by Rob McLennan. These were poems that were like little snippets into the poet's life as a stay-at-home dad, especially during the pandemic. And there are still a few poems in this that I remember really well. And then next is a book that I received from Alice at Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Alice loves the Reacher series, and I love that Alice loves it. And she sent me the first book in the series, Reacher Killing Floor by Lee Child. Now, I didn't love this as much as Alice loves it, but I was just so grateful that she sent this along and that I had a chance to at least try it. So this leaves 5 books that I still need to read from this haul, and 2 of them are still high on my TBR. And the first one I am considering for the People April Readathon that is being hosted by Roz and Elizabeth. And that is When Women Kill, 4 Crimes Retold by Elia Trabuco Zerin. And this is translated from the Spanish by Sophie Hughes. So this book is 4 stories of homicide by Chilean women. And the book is just really intriguing to me, so I do hope to read that. And then the other book that's still on my radar is Scratching River by Michelle Porter. This is a nonfiction memoir about Michelle Porter's brother, about mental illness, and about Métis life. So this could actually work for People April as well. So that means that there are 3 books that fell off my radar from this book haul. The first is one that I may consider for nonfiction November. Today, Hong Kong, Tomorrow, the World. It's What China's Crackdown Reveals About Its Plan to End Freedom Everywhere. So that's an interesting title to me. This is by Mark L. Clifford, and this is about the history of China and Hong Kong's relationship. And this is really something that I know a little about, so I do want to read more about this subject. So I'm really glad that this is now back on my radar. And then the next book is a thriller, and it's called Mr. N by Najwa Barakat, and it's translated from the Arabic by Luke Leifgren, I think it is. This is about a writer who checks himself into a hotel, and it seems he does so to get away from his real life, basically. And this seems to have a bit of suspense, and hopefully it's a good one. And then the last book on my list is Ghosts of Spring by Louis Carrasco. And this has an unnamed protagonist, a girl who wants to transcend the limits of her environment and forge a new life against all the odds. So from 37 books I hauled in the last 2 Marches, I've only read 16. So I definitely need to get that number up. I like to have read at least half, if not more. But this just means that there are many books on my shelf that I can, look forward to reading hopefully soon. Please let me know if you have read any of these from any of these hauls, especially if they are the books that I haven't read yet. Are there any that you are interested in? Any that you think I should prioritize? I want to hear all about that. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.